eNCA has been monitoring the busy routes as Gauteng's holiday exodus has begun. Let's touch base now with our reporter Moloko Moloto, who's on the M1 highway in Parktown here in Johannesburg. Moloko, it's 2 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. Those roads would begin to get busy in any case. Are you sensing a little bit of urgencies as those residents of Johannesburg hit the long road to get out to enjoy their Christmas holidays?
Well, that is very true. I mean, ordinarily on a Friday afternoon, you will get people at around this time in particular. You will have motorists beginning to get onto these busy roads of Johannesburg, trying to beat the heavy traffic congestions. Of course, this time around, being a Friday ahead of the long weekend, the expectation is that, given the fact that many people, for them, this is their last day at work, the expectation is that some of them, if not many of them, will be traveling to various parts of the country. Some will be going out on holidays and others will be going to their home provinces. And Johannesburg, given the fact that this is where a lot of people are, and if you consider the fact that in South Africa this year alone already we have over 11 million registered cars. So many of them, as we all know, are concentrated here in Gauteng and Johannesburg in particular. So the traffic congestion will not really be surprising. But of course, we are going to be speaking to Wayne Minnaar, who is the spokesperson for the Johannesburg Metro Police, and just to get the details in terms of their preparedness as Johannesburg. Mr. Minnaar, thank you so much for joining us. Firstly, just take us through your preparedness ahead of this long weekend.
Yes, look, we have over 1,000 officers who came on duty this morning at 6 a.m. They are doing the stop and search operations on all the main roads and arterials, and are monitoring the main freeways, particularly the Mike 1 going onto the N1 and then N3, and also in a northerly direction towards Limpopo. We also know that the N12 now is getting very busy, going towards northwest and also the Free State. So our officers are now on high alert, and we are checking all the main roads and freeways.
We understand, obviously, that you're going to be working with the Road Traffic Management Corporation. Just perhaps give us information in terms of your cooperation in that regard.
Yes, there's very good cooperation with all of the law enforcement agencies, and we are sharing information and also working on stats that we are aware of the volumes, and that is how we are deploying. And then later tonight, the focus will shift onto drunken driving, where there will be 4 roadblocks, static roadblocks, which will be in the Johannesburg area.
Talking of drunken driving, that and other factors such as speeding as well as reckless driving, as authorities almost every year you do talk about those, highlighting that they are a danger on our roads, but people continue really to turn a blind eye. I mean, where do you think is the problem?
Look, it's a combination of factors which really is a problem. So the appeal is for motorists to really obey the rules of the road so that we can have fewer accidents and deaths. And one of the main problems is reckless driving and speeding, coupled with alcohol. Hence, we need to have these roadblocks. And where they are problematic drivers, to take action and arrest those drivers, and also issue traffic fines for motorists to see how important it is to obey the rules of the road, and also for motorists to take heed of the fact that the officers are on duty and that they should comply. The motorists should comply and obey, really, so that we can have a much better festive season this year.
Mr. Minnaar, finally, it's one thing really to arrest people, particularly those who are contravening the road regulations, you as the traffic officials. But in terms of convictions, are we really making headways in that regard? And I know when you arrest them, you do hand them over to the South African Police Services.
Yes, that is the case, because the Metro Police don't have police stations. The Metro Police arrest we take the suspects to the police stations. That's where they are detained, and then from the police stations, then they are handed over to the Department of Justice. So what happens in the courts and how the courts deal with the offenders, that is out of our hands. That is the function of the DPP, Department of Prosecution.
But are you, as the traffic officials, do you make sure that when you arrest these people, you have a watertight case? For instance, you do take breathalyzers all the time?
Yes, if we suspect that someone has consumed alcohol and is driving, we do a breathalyzer test, which helps the officer to get an indication of how much alcohol the person has consumed, and thereafter then a blood sample gets taken for the person, when the person gets to court, or for when the case gets to court, that there is evidence against such a driver.
Well, Wayne Minnaar speaks on behalf of the Joburg Metro Police. Of course, the issue of traffic congestions is not only limited to Johannesburg. Across the country, the expectations is that the traffic volumes will peak. And just to remind you that last year, in fact, from the 1st of December in 2017 and the 9th of January 2018, during the festive season, the number of people who died on our roads was 1,527. And that was just a slight decrease compared to the previous year at that particular time. And of course, the hope is that this year those figures will go down dramatically.
Well, we can only hope indeed. Thank you so much for that update. Our reporter Moloko Moloto reporting to us live there from the M1 highway in Parktown.